I am Crina and you are listening to Mind the Training podcast. Today we have a really special episode because of so many reasons, but first of all I want to clear this up. This is the first episode that we're doing in English, so please bear with us just because English is second language for both me and my invitee. But it is a special episode truly because I have as an invitee a really special friend of mine, Harry Meintassis. He is a friend from the senior practitioner community from Neuromindfulness Institute, and I have been known to be chasing down people from this community to come into this podcast. But it is also extra special just because Harry, starting from January 2022, which means January, a few months last month, has also become my coach. And as I like to joke about it, he's also my philosopher, and I also joke about the two of us being, he's the philosopher and I'm the clown in the group of senior practitioner. He doesn't necessarily like that, but well, he's not here and I'm recording this on my own. What I believe you should know about Harry and what I should tell you about him is that he has a tremendous experience in working with people, in working with leaders and executives and global teams in companies, global companies like Ernst & Young, Hay Group, Korn Ferry. He actually managed the Korn Ferry Group in Romania for several years, so his experience comes from a tremendous long line of activities and experience with these type of people. Today we had a conversation that went really well, in my opinion, that went really deep into what antifragile means. And as a part of Luna Criliana, the Crilian month in which we are trying to go about and talk about stress, about what's happening with us after 2 years of pandemic, we touched upon antifragile, what that is and how we can use some stuff so that we can be better with ourselves. We talked about how we can reframe some things. We talked about learning, which I loved, and how this antifragile thing is what actually is doing, is helping us learn. We talked about bringing the antifragile as an individual level, how to become antifragile as an individual, but also we talked about something that is in the center of my attention in my professional career right now, which is how does one leader helps or supports their team members to become antifragile. Do we do it on purpose? Do we do it just because? Do we wait for life to throw stone at us, or do we look for obstacles there so we can learn to jump over them? So I invite you to sit beside me and Harry and listen to our conversation, and I hope you enjoy. Let's start. So today, guys, we have as an invitee a special person, special to myself, and I'm hoping and I'm sure it will become special to you as well. It's a person that calls himself a leadership partner that helps build exceptional future-fit organization and communities. I like to call him my philosopher, and he is here with you because we will be touching upon a very important and so to say dear to me concept that I think it will be useful for all of you. So welcome, Harry.
Crina, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be with you, and I would really look forward to our discussion. Thank you.
I am also looking forward to our discussion. I'm sure all of you are going to take good insights out of it. What we're going to do today with Harry is I'm going to challenge Harry to a conversation, and he's going to challenge me to a conversation about antifragile. Yes, because we've been we're approaching our 2-year anniversary when we started this pandemic, and of course during these 2 years we've had maybe rougher times, better times, and so on. But this concept of antifragility is one thing that you might want to look at just to see how you can cope with this period. But before we start, Harry, and go ahead and talk about serious stuff, I just want to ask you this. Who is Harry? Tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is Harry? What's your story, Harry?
Thank you, Crina. So just a few things. I was born and raised in Greece. You can tell from my accent. So I spent most of my most of my time in Greece. And actually, my professional life started when I was 25 years old. And my first job was I was working for a financial institution. I was a marketing officer. Yeah. And then quickly I realized that that was not for me. So I moved into management consultancy. So that actually was the trajectory of my life. I think that was the first part of my life, which was very much around, say, building skills, building knowledge, building expertise. And I was working there for a company which perhaps we know, it's Ernst & Young. And then I moved to another company which was in the field of human resources. That was a company called Hay Group. In 2006, actually, I took the decision that I would like to do something different in my life. So I moved out of Greece and I came to Romania, to beautiful Romania. And that was for me one of the most pivotal moments in my life. Actually, the first time I came to Romania was in 1996, where I had the chance to meet the country and its beautiful people and beautiful atmosphere and energy. And I said something in myself that this is a place I would like to really live in. I would like to be with people and I would like to make a difference. So 2006, I came in to Romania, built up the business. Actually, my portfolio in my professional life included a number of countries. I was leading the whole Southeast European region. Again, human resource consultancy, leadership development, organizational consultancy. And I think that will be the second chapter in my life. The third chapter in my life, I guess, started somewhere in 2015 when there were some changes, professional. And actually, this was intensified 2 years ago when I built up my own business, my own professional house, working as a leadership advisor for organizations, for companies, for leadership teams, and trying to actually use all the experiences and the skills that I have accumulated in the last years, and especially trying with great people like yourself and like other communities to make a difference in the world, and especially, as you said very nicely, when we are all living under some sort of a stress, and at the same time we want to find something beautiful in ourselves, and we want to be our very best versions of ourselves.
Mm-hmm. That is quite impressive, Harry. Of course, I already know those things about you, but your experience in consultancy and with teams and with leaders is what motivated me to bring you in front of these people, of the listeners of Mind the Training podcast. And here we go. Let's talk about Antifragile, Harry. What is Antifragile? What is the thing we need to tell people about Antifragile?
Okay, great. So before we talk about antifragility, let's for a moment try to think what is fragility. Mm-hmm. What is something which is fragile? So fragile is something that is breakable. It can fall apart. Yeah. It can be damaged easily. Let's take an example. It can be a glass. It can be a nice porcelain vase. Yeah.
Which is very beautiful, by the way. Yeah.
Absolutely. Beautiful to see. It can also be our ego. Our ego can be fragile. Yeah. I guess we'll go in our discussion this way. So fragile is something which is, it doesn't like stress. It doesn't like volatility. It doesn't like uncertainty. So this is fragile. Usually when we're trying to say what is the opposite of fragile, we come with concepts like this is something robust, this is something resilient. I think resilience is one of the most frequently used words in our vocabulary, right, in the last 2 years. So what is resilient? Resilient is something that resists. It resists the pressure, the stress. And actually, as we say, as you and I have discussed many times, I have the capacity, if I am resilient, to bounce back. So I recover to my previous state. Mm-hmm. Yeah. However, this is not the exact opposite of fragility. The exact opposite is exactly what we will be discussing, is antifragility. What is antifragility? Antifragility is a property of an individual, of a system, of organization, where the antifragile loves stress, is becoming better, stronger, smarter. It grows. It gets inspired from the stress. Yeah. So there's something in the antifragile that says, I will be using the adversity, the difficulty, the obstacles, and I will be turning them to some sort of an advantage for me and for the others. And again, this can be for individuals, like for example, the entrepreneur that was hit 2 years ago, and everything was shut down. We had the lockdown, and he or she had to find new ways, a new business model to come to the audience. And actually, that was a great learning experience. So this can be. An anti-fragile also could be a child who is learning to play and to get hurt and to fall down, but then will step up and not with too much protection, will get better and better and learn more about life.
Mm-hmm.
An anti-fragile also thing might be also a social movement. Think of Gandhi, think of Martin Luther King or other great leaders who created a movement, and actually they used the adversity, they used the, if you like, the opposition through the power of their souls, not the power of their guns, to become stronger. So antifragility is something, it's a property. This is when we are becoming at our best in times which are stressful, difficult, and when we really live and achieve our full potential.
Mm-hmm. So I know we've discussed about it, and resilience is bouncing back. So I return to the initial state that I was in when meeting that obstacle, be it physical or psychological. But anti-fragility means going forward, bouncing forward from that obstacle, right? So I meet an obstacle, I learn from it, and then what do you know? I'm better at whatever thing life gave me, right?
And maybe an example of antifragility, because again, let's try to use it's a muscle. So antifragile, the antifragility concept is actually how a muscle is. When it actually reacts, it grows from resistance.
Okay, so you have to go to the gym,
exactly.
give some anti-fragility to the muscle, and then you'll have big muscles. Otherwise, nothing will happen.
So the question for us is, Crina, how do we turn our life to a gym? How do we create a gym? So we use the resistance and we use the adversity, or we use the stress and the tension in the smartest way for us to become stronger and better than who we used to be yesterday.
Do we need to search purposefully for stress, or is it enough to just wait for it to come and use those opportunities to become anti-fragile?
I think that's a great question. I think we need to be mindful and strategic that stress is all around. And first of all, there is a fundamental question. Is stress a friend or an enemy? And perhaps let's tie together, you and I, to double click on the concept of stress. Stress can definitely be a friend. You cannot do great things unless there is some sort of a stress. So unless you stress and you stretch yourself to some sort of a new limit. At the same time, again, we know that now from science a lot in the last 2 years have been so fundamental in actually understanding the human nature that unless you have the right recovery modes and relaxation, so unless you are able to do both things, to be intensive on the one hand, but also recover on the other hand, you will not be able to manage stress in an optimal way. And this is why, as you know very, very well, there are so many people actually now going through tough periods of burnout, of anxiety, of chronic stress.
So we have the spectrum of very little stress, which is not good. You don't get up from bed, and the burnout, which is the other way, right? So we're always going to meet some kind of stress in our lives. The attitude, we are welcoming the stress in our lives, is what counts, right? Because it's this TED, which we already shared in our Crina page, on stress and how stress has a positive side, by Kelly McColligal. She also wrote a book about the positive side of stress, and it's related to how we perceive stress. If we think stress is good, this thing only can improve our chances to live longer. If we think stress is bad, apparently this does increase our risk of, coronary, blood vessels, heart attacks, and whatever, physical and psychological. So stress is good, but Harry?
Yeah.
In
Absolutely.
good amounts.
In good amounts and in good, actually, you said so, I love the way you phrased it, and you said the one at the point is a perception. Is how do you think? I think it all starts from there. How do I think about what is happening to me?
Mm-hmm.
If that is a stress, or if that is perhaps a moment of creation or a moment of opportunity. So I think the first thing that perhaps we need to see when we double click on the, how do we practically walk the road of antifragilities? How do I manage the difficulties that will be coming to me in life? So this is the first thing. And again, that means that I need to be able to perhaps rethink, reinterpret, and find new meanings in the events. I think it was Shakespeare that was saying, it's not the event is not good or bad. Only thinking makes it so. It comes back to your point of perception. So the first battle that we would need to win as individuals is the battle of perception. Are things happening to me, or are things happening for me?
Oh, wow. Can you say that again?
So one thing is for us to think, things are happening in life. So again, coming back to the thing that you said, the attitude. So here is attitude number one. Things are happening to me. Wow. Why me? Why me again?
Oh, my Lord. Yeah.
Oh, my Lord. Stop. Attitude number two. Things are happening for me. Wow. Maybe there's something here. I know it's not easy, but what is the best I can do with that? What am I learning? How can I get purposefully outside my comfort zone to find my best Crina, my best Harry, my best self? What is it there for me? And how can I do it in a way that I will be able to be helpful to others, especially if I'm a leader, because I'm responsible for, for the well-being and the performance and what impact I have to other beings.
So looking at stress from different angles. Yeah.
Exactly.
Do you think that's a hard thing or a easy thing to do?
Well, I would say that again, it's everything that's about mindset. Again, is it easy? I think it is simple and hard at the same time. So you and I are discussing mindset, and this is something that we can easily put it into a discussion. Is it easy to implement it? Not always. We need to do some internal work. We need to have a fundamental commitment, first of all, that we need to get better and better. So we need to make a fundamental choice that we want to grow. Yeah. And I think
Go ahead.
And I think connected to that, again, and you and I, and in our communities, we are discussing that a lot. The whole mindfulness. Mindfulness is about where we put attention at. So on the one hand, we need to be intentional about that we want to grow. On the other hand, we need to pay attention, and we should prime our brain, as we say, our mind, not for us to just go on automatic, just to react. There's another very, very interesting quote by Viktor Frankl, so the person who, we know the story, he spent a horrible time, psychiatrist, he spent horrible time in Nazi concentration camps. And he said the following, it's so wise. There is a space between stimuli, the situation, and your response. There is always a space. And in this space lies freedom and growth. And I think this is exactly the point. So how much we can really, when something is happening, take a step back, detach, really understand what is it that is happening and how can I use it to the best of my abilities.
It's very nicely put. If I may, Harry, I would connect this with the science on optimism. You know that I'm a fan of happiness and well-being programs. And one of my favorite authors is Sonia Lubomirsky. And she has conducted some research in what happiness means. And apparently, one of the things that we can do to improve our happiness is to cultivate this optimism attitude. And I think the optimism is connected with antifragility because it gives us the opportunity to, look differently at what might happen because of maybe an adversity that we've manage to come across. Yes.
Yeah.
And there is also one thing, because why did I ask you if it's easy or if it's hard? Because for some of us, it's easier. And for some of us, it's not that easy. Just because apparently we have inherited a package of, DNA that somehow 50% of how optimistic or pessimistic we are is inherited from our beloved relatives. At the same time, we have roughly 40% in which we can, swing and make deliberate actions so that we can become more optimistic and at the same time become more anti-fragility, because we're talking about the attitude we need to have on stress. So optimism is not going around and feeling happy all the time and, only good things are going to happen to me and whatever. But it's also looking at the strange situation with optimism, such as, I don't know, I always give in my trainings the example of my house has been flooded. Yes, I went on vacation, came back, house has been flooded. What are you going to do? Oh, this is a great opportunity to change the furniture, right? You've been wanting to change that furniture for years now. Or it's a good opportunity for you to take some free time from work. I don't know. So you can look at in this way to adversity, situation that we are not extremely pleased with, right?
Yeah, no, I think you're making some really great points, and I think maybe we try to knit them all together on this one. And I love the way you connected optimism with antifragility, because it's really important. And let's a little bit double click on that, on this optimism, because optimism, as we said, is two things. One thing is, what is my outlook for tomorrow? So I have a sort of a fundamental belief that tomorrow is going to be better than today. And at the same time, that's critical. That's so important for the antifragility mindset, that I completely own and drive my actions. In other words, I'm not a victim of circumstances. I am the master. And I would even say, so I'm the master of my destiny. And if somebody takes it to a little bit more, perhaps poetic level, he could say, actually, I am my hero. I'm getting to the level where I am doing my very best, and I know at the end of the day, it's up to me. It's up to me. So this thing, and I think to the other point that you said, absolutely, there is a gene of optimism, I guess, but also as we know, and I think it was Martin Seligman that was discussing about the learned optimism. So we can all put a different light and a different filter in the way we look on the world, not in a naive way, in a very realistic and grounded way.
And deliberate.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true. So it's not that you're optimistic or you're not, it's just you can become. Yes, for some of us it's going to be harder because we have less genes, so to say, but that doesn't mean we cannot work on it, right? So we can work at the attitude of becoming anti-fragile and not enjoying us per se, but taking the good and the bad that happens, right?
Yeah, so, absolutely. And I think another thing, coming back to what we were saying on the perception and the optimism, here is a twist that for us maybe we can think. I think it was the Stoic philosophers. We talk a little bit about philosophy because there's so much wisdom, okay? And also it was Nietzsche himself that he coined the term amor fati. Amor fati. What does amor fati mean? Love your fate. Love your fate. In what sense? Not in the sense that you passively accept or you don't want to change things, but you accept things how they are. If it's raining, it's raining. I cannot do anything about it. If there is COVID, there is COVID. I cannot do anything about the external. What I can do is, how do I experience it? And actually, the whole idea behind amor fati is not just to accept, is to embrace and to love it, to love the difficult, because I will only become my very best. So I choose growth. If I choose growth and I want to become my very best, the only way to do it is I go to the life gym. And the life gym is going to be difficult, but I need to be purposeful. Yeah.
There was this, sorry, I'm deviating, but this is me. There was this picture on social media with some sayings, but the one that remained with me, speaking about gyms, is being fat, it's hard. Being fit is hard. Choose your hard. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Both, you have to choose your heart. And what I'm hearing and what I know is that anti-fragility is a lot of times a choice, a deliberate choice to work on yourself, work on your attitudes, and choose to look differently, to see differently in adversity.
Beautifully said. And I think it's exactly that. It's a choice. Like I think you were saying in one of your previous podcasts that happiness is a choice. Mm-hmm. So life is a choice. Life is a choice. And I know it can be hard. And I know life can throw to us many tough things, and it does. And for us and whoever is listening or watching this one, there are so many difficult moments. But I will also put another thought. What were the most fulfilling times in our lives? And here's a question. Weren't they the times that we were really stressed and stretched and we needed to become greater in order to fulfill some purpose? Because if we say yes on that, then we see a very nice link between anti-fragility and sustained happiness and fulfillment.
Mm-hmm. There definitely is a connection in there, because if I am to ask you about a moment in your life when you had a switch, it would probably be one of adversity. Yeah, that would bring you maybe a positive outcome at a certain point. So yeah, I did that, you did that, everybody did that at a certain point in their lives. Good. Okay, so this is anti-fragility. Do we want to say more about anti-fragility, Harry?
I think what we perhaps just to wrap it up is 80% of the anti-fragility game is mindset, as you say. Mm-hmm. I think you put it very nicely, the word attitude. Growth mindset, hugely important. So growth mindset, as we know, is actually the fundamental belief that I can become better and better. It doesn't matter what are my genes, my traits, my personality. I have the power, if I choose to become. So that's number one. I think we talked, and it's really important how we see life in terms of what is our attitude towards things that are happening to us. Another thing that I see a lot, and it is connected with anti-fragility, and it's coming from good intention. Life is changing very, very fast. Let's zoom out. Okay, so let's discuss skills. So the skills we have today, 2022, in 2040, 50% of these skills will be out of date. Mm-hmm. Okay, so again, here I have a choice. I can either be an expert. Expert is, I have accumulated knowledge. I know this thing, I know the other thing. I can go deep and I can explain to you, mm-hmm. or I can be a learner. So actually, my fundamental identity is I want to learn. I don't know. Actually, I'm asking questions, and I'm very okay with that.
It's funny you took me this way. You took the discussion in that way, because it's one of my, I would say, biggest pains at the present moment when working with teams and leaders. And I often get this answer sometimes. Maybe we've done this. We've always done things like this in this company, or we've done this for 5 years now. Yes, it worked for 5 years, or it worked till now, but now it's the time to rethink it. Yeah. And this is an example of not being anti-fragile, right? Just being
exactly. Yeah.
Your ground. I'm not changing.
Yeah, and again, it happens for all the right reasons, because again, there is a battle in our minds. There's a battle in my mind. There is a battle of, there is the survival and the thriving. So on the one hand, we want to defend the familiar, what we know. We believe fundamentally that this is the answer. On the other hand, if we really want to thrive, as you said, we need to go one step beyond. And from knowledge, actually the game becomes learning agility. So anti-fragility, now it's the words, okay. Anti-fragility and learning agility, they are close brothers, they are close relatives, okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm seeing that also in at the personal level. When the more we grow older, the rigider we become, the more rigid we become, just because we need to protect what we have done and the way we chose to do things, the decisions we took along our lives. So somebody else comes Harry and says, okay, no, you need to change this and this because you're not training in the right direction. The first reaction is, you're wrong, I'm right. And having that openness to look again and see, maybe Harry has something in there or not, but maybe yes. I think that's hard.
It's hard, and you know what's hard? Because again, let's go a little bit deeper on this one. Because of our ego. Because ego sometimes is the enemy. Here what it is, and this goes for all of us, because we humans are social creatures. And it's important to know how we are perceived by others. It's part of our DNA. Yeah, it is, isn't it? Okay. Yep. So here's how it goes. If I want to do things which are unfamiliar, there is a risk. Uncertainty doesn't come naturally. Okay. Because you know why? Because the stake might be failure. Who wants to fail? Who wants to fail? Who wants to not show that, perhaps, he or she is not doing the right things? So this is another, again, shift. What is real failure? What is failure? And again, unless we fail in life, and you and I know so well because of our professional experience and not only, unless you fail in life, unless you try enough to fail, that is going to be the ultimate failure because you will never learn. So that's fundamental. So it's the fear. So how you step again away from your comfort zone to your learning zone. You need to overcome the fear of failure. You need, I know, in one of our previous discussions, we were discussing about feedback. You need to be able to take feedback well, even when it's critical. Because again, the mindset is, what can I learn from the feedback? How can I become better? But again, ego might be the enemy. So one would need to work inside himself or herself as to, am I strong enough? Am I confident enough? Am I humble enough to be able to get the feedback?
That is beautiful. Yeah, that's true. And then, as you were talking, I was thinking about a recent experience, a very small one, but I really need to tell it because I know the world is going to change. I know that I am becoming more and more rigid to change because, unfortunately, I'm also growing in profession, but also in years. A few weeks ago, I changed my laptop, and this is stupid, but I updated to Windows 11. And I had a setting to my laptop, I had here, here, and when I thought, Windows 11, how much can it change, right? And it ruined my setup. The first reaction I had, and I did this, I looked up solutions on YouTube tutorials, how to get back those little pieces that I did. So I did that. I went on and implemented it. I everything. It appeared. It was a little bit crooked, but whatever. It worked. Yeah. And then I said to myself, what are you doing, Crina? What are you doing? So I went back. I raised everything. So, okay, this is an opportunity for me to learn. So bring it on, But my first reaction was to get it back how it was. I want it back how it was. I don't want to do stuff new,
Yeah.
So I'm struggling now, but I'm learning. So I'm happy with that.
I think that's a beautiful example. Let's take this example on this one, because we all have these kind of examples, okay, in real life. So here's how we work, how our mind is working. What we said, wisdom in life maybe is to accept things that you cannot change. But also we know that this doesn't happen automatically. So we are passing through stages. Yeah. So the first stage is the stage of shock. Wow. Then it is denial. Oh, no, it's not happening. Then it is anger. Why it's happening? Yeah. And then it is negotiation. Yes, but maybe, until you get to the acceptance. So maybe, perhaps, one of the ways we need to do more is to shorten this cycle. Shorten this cycle.
Yeah. Maybe first you need to get the the nudge, the impulse to be aware that you're not being anti-fragile, or you're looking from the wrong side at the problem. Yeah, because Windows is going to continue to change. And I cannot stay to Windows 10 more years from now, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And perhaps here is another thing maybe we can point out, and you and I have been discussing so many times. It's about what does it really mean to be mindful? So what does it really mean to be mindful? It's about, again, being able to self-control your mind, to train your mind. So how do you manage the situations in a way which is helpful? Which is helpful. So again, comes back to attention. It comes back to noticing how you feel, even putting a label into it, as we know very well. When you label your emotion, you can name it and tame it.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very important. Not easy, but hugely important. And then again, the power of reframing. So what is really happening here? What is really the opportunity for me? How can I be my best self? How can I grow from this opportunity?
Mm-hmm. So this is actually a strategy, because I need to frame this so that people will understand it. What you people can do or have as an opportunity to do so that you could become more anti-fragile is to reframe things, right? To be able to look differently at a situation, right?
Absolutely.
It's what we've discussed about so far, yeah? Okay, so there are things we can do. This is one, okay, as individuals.
Yeah.
What else, Harry? What else can we do?
So I think we touched a little bit the stress equation. Mm-hmm. And I think stress can be a big blanket that is taking all of the oxygen from energy. So we need, unless we have enough good energy, we will not be able to optimize ourselves. So the question is, how do I optimize stress levels? And I think, as you said before, there are different intensities of stress. Again, we know from science that stress can be good as long as it's not chronic. So let's be alert, let's be focused, let's be very intensive and intentional, but at the same time, let's have also the right recovery mechanisms. So rest, recover. So things that, again, we hear so many times now, and it's so important. You know, the whole science behind, good nutrition, good food, good sleep, good hydration, but also, going into nature, taking time off, having time for yourself. High-performing organizations today, the high-performing organizations, they are very, very serious about this type of well-being, because they know that stress, unless properly managed, it's not going to go well for everyone.
So first, we need to acknowledge that if we lack sleep, as sometimes I do because I have a small child at home and life is difficult, because if I hear one more man that speaks about studies, that sleep, I'm going to kill them, right? But we need to acknowledge that if we have lack of sleep, we may not be reacting in a proper manner, right? We don't have the resources to deal with that type of stress. If we're not, if we haven't been fed, properly, the same, we might not have the resources to react to the stress in the way that we have. If we are, I don't know, too sedentary, and so on. So the more we know about our lives, the more we know the power we have to look at anti-fragility, right?
Absolutely. And the power of breaks, the power of taking breaks. So let's, because again, we all live this life. So how many Zoom meetings or meetings we have every day? So many. And they are back to back. Okay, there's another way of thinking about taking some breaks. So if you have a 6-minute meeting, make it 50. Take some time.
Okay.
So important. Again, not just to take a breath, it's so important, but also to be able to be prepared, to prepare your mind for what's coming next. To take yourself outside the automatic, the habitual way of working. So we need to have fresh starts every day, every moment. So taking breaks, again, high-performing athletes know that so well. They know that if I need to grow and to build strength in my body, I don't do that in the gym, actually. I do it when I sleep. and then actually when I have the good nutrition. So it is this circle, perhaps maybe we can put it that way. It's the intensity, so stress intensity, then you have recovery, and then you have the regeneration. So intensity, recovery, regeneration. And if we put that mindfully in our lives, we will see our performance, our well-being skyrocketing.
Okay. Yeah. Again, with the sleep. I hate you people. There will be a time in my life when I will also sleep. Good. Okay. I want to go further with our discussion, Harry, and go ahead and maybe touch upon a little bit about what leaders can do to help their teams. Yeah. Other than giving them breaks, right? And not calling them at, 2 a.m. to wake them up. What can they purposefully do so that they can support people to become anti-fragile?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And let's take a step back and let's discuss and let's ask ourselves, what is leadership? What is great leadership? So very fundamentally, leadership is about the other person, but it starts from you. So there are two sides. One thing is about how much, and this is important, if you really want to build anti-fragile teams, start from your real belief about the people. So believe in the people, not the organization, not the roles, the people themselves. So this new human paradigm has to be front and center. That's number one. Number two, we are all motivated, we are all energized if there's an inspiring vision. So I think what leaders have to do, what we have to do every day is to put forward an inspiring vision and purpose, the big why. Why are we doing things? Again, people, we are all meaning-making creatures. So if there is meaning into what we do, energy goes up. Tell me something very, very interesting. It was a very interesting Harvard research recently. And we were trying to dig down as to what are the real contributors of burnout. It wasn't so much the workload. It was the lack of self-efficacy. What does that mean? It means that I'm doing things, I don't know why I'm doing this. What is the purpose? What is the meaning? What is behind? Am I a part of something which is bigger? Do I matter? So it's very interesting that perhaps the main contributor, I'm not downplaying the workload. It is important. What I'm saying is that a fundamental contributor is how people emotionally relate to what they do. So coming back, give inspiring vision. Give inspiring vision, yeah.
But what if they don't have inspiring vision? Maybe they're low-level leaders. I mean, not the head of but the head of a smaller team. I don't know, 10, 15, 20 people.
Yeah. Inspiring vision doesn't necessarily mean that we want to change the world. Inspiring vision is we want to do something better, and here is why we want to do it: a better product, a better solution for the clients, a better solution for the lives of the people we are working for, a better way of working amongst ourselves. Because again, we are working 10, 12 hours per day together. So there are many ways when you can craft a sort of a vision or a purpose around the work or how we as professionals work.
So give purpose to people.
Hugely important.
That people can, come together with that purpose and feel it. And okay, this is me. Or say, okay, I don't like your vision. Bye-bye.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, purpose, and again, you understand this purpose thing has also values. So what do we stand for? I mean, what is it behind? Because again, we want to be part of something which we like, that we feel this sense of belongingness. So again, I'm not saying these are easy things. All I'm saying is that we need to get to a mindset. If I'm a leader, I need to have a purpose as to what collectively are we trying to do and why it's important. That's one thing. The other thing which is connected to purpose is really understand the individual, not the role, the person behind the role. What is he or she interested in? What motivates? What drives her motivation? What is her purpose? What is his purpose? And try to make this connection. Again, if you're able to do that, you will create magic, because this is the most fundamental, if you like, driver of human performance and human potential. the question of why are we doing certain things. If you take that away, you can put all sorts of hacks, tools and tricks. You will never be able to go that far.
Because the purpose eventually is to I don't know, I'm going to say make, but that's not the word. People do more for the company or for the team or for the purpose of that team. Yeah. So you cannot do it just because, you know what, you're paid for this, you should do it. But you want them to do more, and they will be doing more if they're getting individually acknowledged, right?
You are so right on this one. And I think you're touching a very, very important point, Crina, which is what is actually missing today? What is actually missing today in, if you like, in the reality of work? Perhaps the thing that is missing the most is the engagement, the feeling of engagement, true engagement. So yes. I fully, wholeheartedly give my very best, my whole very best of myself into being part of this team. It's not a transactional relationship. It's a true human relationship. That's why in the HR communities now, perhaps the number one topic that is being discussed is the employee experience. So redefining, redesigning the employee experience. But it has to be done in a smart, in a human way, in a humanistic way. We need a new paradigm. Yep.
Yeah, we need to shift from you're here to work for me, and this is the result that I want you to be achieving, to, okay, who you are, what you want, and how can you contribute to this company? How can I contribute to your development? And as a human, as a professional, or whatever, but I can see you, I understand you, and you're not just a, so yeah, that's one, that's a big one. And I am actually trying to put that into teams and leaders I'm working with, just because I understand how powerful it is. And sometimes I fight with the consultancy companies that say, no, we need to focus on results. No, we do not. We need to focus on people.
Yeah.
So So this is the human connection part. Right?
Exactly. And I think you said this so nicely. And about the understanding and the connection. I think that was your last word. Absolutely. And again, we are discussing so much concepts around empathy, around compassion. Maybe we can stay a little bit on that because it's hugely important. I mean, if I really want to be a leader that makes a difference, and I really want to help others, the organization, others, and myself, I mean, empathy is my secret weapon, amongst others. We will discuss. So empathy is I really, really understand people as unique individuals, who they really are. And I'm trying to get purposefully outside myself to really get inside their world, inside their mind, to see life from their eyes. But to do that, I need to be able to take a step back, and I need to listen. I need to listen. Now, listen is such an important word. And if you, I don't know, do you have a pen in front of you?
Yes.
Okay, I would like you to do something.
Yep.
Write the word listen in capital letters. Okay.
Everybody, do as I do. Listen in capital letters.
So now we have the word listen in capital letters. Now, just reshuffle the letters, starting from S. It will make a perfect silent. So from listen, the perfect silent. So when we listen, we need to be able to silence our mouths. We'll be silent. To be able to silence our minds, exactly. We need to be really, really mindful and present, not distracted. It's not easy. So real, authentic, active listening. I'm trying to understand you, because if I would be able to understand you, I will be trustworthy. I will be able to help you. And as you and I know, there's also another step, which is the compassion. So compassion is not just the emotion of empathy, it's the intention. I'm here to help you. It's empathic care, as we call it. I'm here to help you. So this is, again, the mindset and the skill set and the action set of a leader.
But that's hard, Harry. That's hard. Can we have a more simpler way of doing things? Yes, I hear you, and I'm totally on board with that. And that's why I think leaders should look, if there is something they can do to go closer to achieving this type of skills. Because empathy and compassion, contrary to some beliefs that some leaders have, it's all mushy mushy and hugging and kissing and whatever, and talking about pink color and whatever. It's not that. It's even letting go of an employee with empathy and compassion, yeah, or giving feedback about something they have failed. Yeah, we can talk about the attitude towards failure in a way that has empathy and compassion, right? Rather than, you did this, you're stupid, blah, 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 which we sometimes do as leaders, just because we've identified something that does not work, and we forget about empathy and compassion. We just look at the results and then, I don't know, stop being kind to people. So
No, I think you said very, very nicely. And again, this is sometimes the missing link. And I think probably we need to do better work in linking the compassion and the empathy, which sound soft. They sound soft, they are not, with the actual results and the impact. Because if we do that, it's going to be easier for leaders to step in wholeheartedly in this new way of thinking. And some of them are, let's be frank. I mean, some of them, they are doing their best, and they are. But again, it's also for companies very important to cultivate and to nourish culture, the culture of empathy, the culture of compassion, the culture of, and you and I, for example, I remember that when we were seeing a study in Harvard, we were saying the best leaders, they are managing with compassion, so the care, the empathy, and wisdom. Now, wisdom in what sense? In the sense that I will still push you, stretch you to become your very best, because of I want us to become antifragile. So all these things go together. Actually, it's one mindset. It's a new paradigm. Again, COVID has been devastating in many ways, and people have lost many things. They have lost loved ones, and we should fully understand that. And at the same time, it has highlighted how important it is for us to think about the humanity in organization, and how much those two, humanity in organizations, cannot be separated. It's one thing. And it's up to the leaders to be able to put the story, to put the words, to live the words, to walk the talk. And this way, they will become even more trustworthy. And they will shape the new culture of tomorrow, which I think we all need now.
That is so true. And I just keep thinking about a discussion I had a few months back with somebody about the Gen whatever new generation is starting working these days, and the fact that they're so different, so complicated, so obnoxious, and they don't work, and they're not being serious, and so on. And I'm like, maybe they have it right and we have it wrong. Maybe the fact that they don't like to work from 9 to, I don't know, 20 p.m. to 8 p.m. is a good thing, right? So we need to brace ourselves as leaders to welcome these type of people, because they're coming with, I think, a really good thing. I'm not taking any bullshit. I don't want to do bad for myself in terms of well-being, health, and so on. So I'm not going to take up on, work.
Yeah.
And if leaders do not, and I said that, the great leaders of the future would be selected only from this bunch of people that have this empathy, compassion, this type of skills put together, and connection to people. Otherwise, they will be working with us, the generation of our generation, Harry. We're still a bunch of people living, and then full stop, because new people are not into that anymore, right? Am I right? It's just
Absolutely.
a sensation, but
Yeah, absolutely. And again, following up to what you are saying is so true. And I think what is the lesson for us as leaders? The lesson for us is, again, to listen, and to be open, and to be curious, and to be welcoming. Here is the thing, and maybe sometimes we don't. Empathy and sympathy, they're not the same thing. Okay, so sympathy is more about I agree,
I'm sorry for your loss.
Exactly, I'm sorry. We're not talking about that. Empathy is something, I want to understand. I want to understand where you are coming from, what is important for you. And I'm open enough. I'm lowering my judgment walls, if you like, and I'm raising my curiosity. I want to understand, and I want you to know I care for what you stand for. Now, again, hugely important. Again, if we want to be not average, if we want to be average, perhaps this discussion is. If we want to be really great, if we want to be extraordinary, if we want to leave our mark, if we want to say to ourselves every day that we are trying our best, then empathy and compassion is the game. And I know some people within our community. For example, I know Julia because I think you have it in. She was talking so nicely about kindness. She was connecting leadership with kindness. So all of these things, this is the new approach again, and that's a huge opportunity. I mean, that is something to celebrate.
Well, connecting to people as a leader is one of the things that we can do to help them become anti-fragile, because then we know what they're struggling with. Maybe we can find out what we can throw at them so that they can purposefully become anti-fragile, not just sit in a place, just grow, develop. Why? Because life happens. That's why. Okay, great. So we have anti-fragility, what it is. We bounce forward, right? We need to, as individuals, do some things if we want to become anti-fragile, find that space between emotion and stimuli, if we can, reframing, stopping, even if we maybe went ahead and acted as our old selves or as not anti-fragile, come back, Windows example, come back and maybe see the opportunity in there. What else? What else have we talked about?
I think one thing that we touched, but maybe we need to a little bit again highlight more is the learning.
Yes.
So day-to-day learning, and learning, as we know, we learn from experience. We learn from education, but experience absolutely is the most important thing. We learn from exposure to different people. Actually, it's very interesting to think. We grow at our best when we are with different people. Different people. Somebody who's not like Harry. I need to be the people who are not like me, because then I can become my very best. And I think there are three questions that we always need to ask after we do something. Can be an event, can be a project, can be collaboration, anything. So question number one, what have I done well? Question number two, what could I have done better? Question number three, what am I going to do differently next time? Three simple questions. Again, it's part of the mindfulness equation and the reflection. If we do that often, and actually if leaders, they are encouraging or they're putting a routine, not just having the meetings, the project meetings, let's have learning meetings. Can be short. Wow. So
I love that.
Imagine how much, first of all, how much the ideas, but also imagine the level of psychological safety, how people will feel. Now I would even say liberated to fully surface my ideas and to discuss and to tell you what I really feel. And that's actually will motivate me to be my very best tomorrow.
That's true. Harry, I get the sensation we can talk about this 3 more days, as we always do. But I think we need to start stopping because we have touched upon some stuff, and you, our listeners, hope you have picked up on some things. So Harry, this has been a great conversation. Thank you for this. You know what's coming, right? At the end of this discussion. You have to go through what everybody goes through, which is the rapid fire questions. Okay. Yeah. So I have 5 questions, and then I have a bonus question for you.
Okay.
Right? Because I know you and I. So my first question, Harry, is what is your favorite book?
Okay, I would say the Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl, also connected to the discussion we had before.
Great book. Yes, I love that. Second question, and this is connected to anti-fragility without a purpose. Tell us a moment in your life that has contributed in an essential way to who Harry is today?
I think when I decided to live, to come and live in Romania, when everything was super comfortable and super successful when I was in Greece, so everything was a great path, but I felt that I need to go through some uncertainty, some adventure, some novelty to find my very best.
Mm-hmm. Great. So that's 16 years back, 15 years back, right? Okay. Good. So one of my questions from the rebel inside me, what is your favorite game, Harry?
My favorite game? Wow.
If you play games.
Well, it's a game, but I play the piano.
Oh,
so I'm very much into music. I love music. I feel that it's one of the most wonderful expressions in human creativity. Brings people together. It's also very playful, especially when you not do it on your own, but also when you do it in groups.
Yeah, I second that. I know Harry plays very well the piano. It's a very beautiful. Things come out of his piano and his hands. Great. Fourth question. If you had the opportunity to have coffee with anybody, alive or not, real or not, who would that person be?
Okay. I would put a giant in terms of a leader giant, which is Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela. I think that it would be an amazing opportunity for me to spend some time. But can I also add one more person on this one?
Sure.
I would like to have a coffee with me when I was 18 years old. So me now with when I used to be 18 years old. And I would like to see the discussions the two of us would have.
Well, this is connected to my bonus question. Now I have to change it, but we'll go there. So this is my fifth question. So you have Nelson Mandela for a coffee or Harry, 18 years of age. Okay. My final question that is out there is, I give you permission to brag. What are the 3 things you're most proud of in your life?
Oh my God, that's difficult. Okay. So first one, I think throughout my life, I met wonderful people, really wonderful people from many, not just professionally. And I feel that I had a chance to make a difference in their life, to somehow help them perhaps think differently. And that's something that I consider that I perhaps did well. So that's number one. Number two, I think that in difficult moments in my life, and they were difficult, like we all have difficult moments in our life, obviously, I took the hit, I took the ownership, I would say in a graceful way, in a gracious way, and I try to learn and try to become better and better out of this experience. That would be the second one. And the third one, can I be proud of my daughter?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, probably that should be the first one. So I'm very proud of my daughter. I have a Feticha who is 14 years old. And I love her. I feel she's so special. And she's patient enough to listen to me and to discuss many things around life, relationships, and she's lovely.
That's great. That's great, Harry. Okay, here comes the bonus question. One of the things that I wanted to ask you is, what would you say to your 25-year-old Harry? But I'm going to change it. And I'm going to ask you, if you had coffee with Harry, 18 years of age, what question, or not question, what would you say to him?
Okay. I would say, be bold to be who you really are. So be different in your own way. Doesn't matter what others think. Be bold in your passion. And at the same time, be careful. So give enough care and make others feel special and important.
That's great. That's really deep, Harry. Okay, good. this is it, folks. There you have it. This is Harry, my philosopher and also my coach, starting 2022. So he has been a little bit forced to come here to talk to you. He will argue against that, but I'm still going to say it. So Harry, thank you very much for this amazing discussion, and keep in touch.
Crina, it was a privilege for me to be with you. Thank you very much. And thank you for everything that you are doing. Thank you so much.
Have a great day. Bye, guys.